All right, welcome back, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hello, hello, hello. Chris here, as always. Going to get started today in just a moment, giving it a second to finish pulling everyone over from the waiting room, and then we shall be on our way with another wonderful webinar. I hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. Hopefully, you guys had a great start to the market yesterday on Monday. Today, we are going to be discussing trading distractions as well as how to manage them. Nice, fun topic. It's very common for traders to allow very simple things to be their downfall without realizing it, because they tend to not devote any attention to the things that they deem simplistic. If it sometimes the more simple something is, usually the more dangerous it can be, because it often gets entirely too overlooked. And this is one of those topics. So definitely want to talk about this and how we can deal with some of these distractions, as well as what they might be, just to kind of get you aware of it. You might not even know you're being distracted at times while we're trading. But before we go any further, folks, we are going to get into a few of our disclaimers. Once again, just got to get these out of the way for the legal purposes, obviously. I'll read through the first one for you. After that, I'll just throw the next ones on screen, and you can read through them or screenshot them at your own pace, and then we'll be on our way. So here we go. First disclaimer coming up. So, Earn to Trade is provided to you for educational purposes only. Earn to Trade is not a financial services company. Earn to Trade does not accept any liability for loss or damage as a result of the reliance of the information contained herein. This includes educational material, price quotes, charts, and analysis. Please be aware of the risks associated with trading the financial markets. Never invest more money than you can risk losing. The risks involved in trading are high and may not be suitable for all investors. Earn to Trade doesn't retain responsibility for any trading losses you might face as a result of using the data shown on its websites or webinars. The data and quotes contained may not be provided by exchanges, but rather by market makers. So prices may be different from the exchange prices and may not be accurate to real-time trading prices. Any examples used are not a recommendation to buy or sell or a solicitation to buy or sell futures, options, bonds, or binaries or securities of any kind. The information and strategies and techniques discussed herein are the property of Earn to Trade LLC. They may not be shared or distributed to another party without the express consent of Earn to Trade LLC. Any trademarks or copyrights reference other than Earn to Trade are the property of the respective holders and not Earn to Trade LLC. Moving along into the next one, folks. This one, like I said, going to go ahead and leave it on screen. Please read through it on your own or screenshot it. Moving along to our next one. Same scenario, folks. Go ahead and read on through or screenshot. And moving along again. And finally, Final one, folks. Once again, go ahead and read on through or screenshot. Alrighty, moving along. Here we go. One second, folks. Open the wrong app there. So today we're going to be discussing something more of the psychology with trading, something more on the back end of things, where our mental game is at. Like I said, we were looking to discuss the trading distractions and how to manage them. Let's see if I can swap that over there. But here we are. Wonderful. Okay. So there's not going to be so much, just going to give you a heads up now, there's not going to be so much visual information or visual things that you need to actually pay attention to during this particular webinar. But I strongly would suggest, if you have maybe a notepad open or you have a pen and paper next to you, that you go ahead and pull that out, because I am going to be speaking through some ideas, discussing some various different distractions, how to possibly manage them, and how we can avoid them as we move forward. And this isn't stuff, like I said, that you're gonna you're really gonna see so much, as more you're gonna hear so much. So today's webinar is more of a listening webinar, if you will. So it might not be as exciting. You might not see as many things drawn, even though you did just see me open up my my wonderful annotation tool there. But we'll see if I can make it as exciting as I possibly can. As we go forward, if you have any and all questions, please feel free to type them in the chat box as they come up. If I do not answer it right away, don't panic. I will get back to it. I will answer it before we get out of this room. If I'm not answering it, there's a chance that I am going to answer that. It's a topic I'm about to address, and the answer will come to everyone as a whole naturally, organically, so that could be the reason why I haven't answered right away. Or I might just be waiting until a bit of a slack period in something that I'm explaining to then discuss it. But first off, if I haven't introduced myself, I will go ahead and do that. Most of you already know who I am, but if you are joining me for the first time, my name is Chris. I am a trader and mentor here at Earn to Trade. I do run all of the educational webinars that we have every week, as well as do the daily recaps, as well as provide a lot of the educational material in general that you guys have access to and I'm sure already utilizing. So that is a little bit about myself, and if it's once again, it's your first time here, welcome. It's a pleasure having you. I like to keep it casual, fun, and enjoyable. So let's get some information here. Let's leave this room better off traders than when we entered this room. So without further ado, let's go ahead and switch this on over to, well, we don't really need to, but I am going to switch it on over to my charts presently. It'll keep it a little bit more exciting, I suppose, if we watch the ticker move up and down. Here we go. All right. So today, once again, topic is trading distractions, as well as how you can manage them. So we're going to do our best to, cover some of the main distractions that we feel affect traders and cause a bit of equity loss, a bit of, cause more problems than they're a little bit. How can I collect my words to say this? We'd like to discuss all of the distractions that cause traders to lose money without necessarily even realizing that they're doing so. Some of these things, guys, just right off the bat, you might already be aware of, but let's discuss a few things at a time. I'll go down a list of things essentially, and what we'll do is we'll talk about how they can be seen as a distraction and how we can possibly avoid them entirely. And it can be simple. It can be very simple. One of the easiest ways to improve our trading that we might not even be aware of is just by simply setting ourselves a pre-defined time that we're looking to trade every single day. So that could be one easy way. By trading sporadically, by trading at the whim, say, okay, today I'm going to trade at, say, I'm trading at 9:30 to 11:30. But then tomorrow I jump on somewhere around 6 p.m. to maybe 8 p.m. And then maybe the next day I trade at another window. Maybe I trade from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. This is not necessarily viewed as a good practice. The reason behind this is, excuse me, by the way, guys, if you do hear me cough or something or sneeze along the way, I apologize. I am getting over a bit of a head cold, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there now. But trading, guys, at different times every single day, kind of randomly, almost like a vagabond, like if we're just gypsies of the trading world, the issue that we run into with that is we run into the problem of viewing different market characteristics. So each time of the day, the market tends to exhibit similar characteristics, so to speak, as perhaps the day before. It tends to have a similar mood, if you will. Obviously, it's not going to move exactly the same between the cash open and close today as it did yesterday. However, there are certain things that we can attribute to expect during certain time frames, and by trading the same time frame over and over again, we can become a little bit more adept of what to expect. We're a little bit more comfortable and aware of how much volatility we should be looking at as we're trading. And as such, we're a little bit more prepared. So being more prepared, obviously, as it goes without saying, is a good thing in trading. Whereas being less prepared is not so much a good thing. If we're constantly moving, we never really get to find a home base. We never really get to get comfortable, truly comfortable with the market. If we're always trading a different time frame, we're always trading this, that, and the other, we never really know, and it makes it a lot harder for us to it's just one more thing that makes it harder for us to predict, and one more thing that makes it harder for us to know what to expect. And in a world where we're trading based on forecasts and expectations, that's not a good thing. So that can cause some equity loss right there. So first thing that I've talked about, and I'd like to move on from at this point, but the easiest way to begin controlling some of these trading distractions, as well as controlling some of these easily manageable ways to make sure that we stay on top of our game, is simply defining a set time every day, or whenever it is that you're able to trade, a set time that you're going to trade, and a specific schedule, and then continuously adhering to the schedule. Now, obviously, everybody's schedules in life are different. We all have a lot of different things going on, but it is important that we get as close to setting a set schedule and adhering to it as possible. The more we adhere to a set schedule, the more comfortable and aware and that we will be, and the more adept we'll be at noticing variances and anomalies in the market during that particular time. But that moves on to number two. When I was talking about set schedules and everything else, maybe the kids are coming home, maybe the wife comes home at this time, or maybe you got to go do this or that, or you have other responsibilities. We all do. But number two is we want to be comfortable informing our loved ones, our friends, whoever it is, that there's periods that when we're trading, or anytime we're trading, not really necessarily periods, but anytime we're trading, we should ask for them not to disturb us. That means that while we're trading, we're in full work mode. If you were at work, your wife wouldn't be calling you every 5 minutes to tell you, or hopefully she's not calling you every 5 minutes to tell you about the neighbor's cat that just ran through the petunias. Just like you wouldn't be interrupting her during her workday to tell her random useless things, or barging in to say, hey, can you help me open this mayonnaise jar? It is important to explain to other members of your household, as well as your family and friends, that while you are trading, that this isn't just a leisure thing for you, but to treat this as a work thing for you, and you need them to respect that as well. If while you're trading, you're hunting down a big trade, you're about to take a beautiful long, you're ready to rock and roll in the market, and then all of a sudden the wife barges in the door, she starts telling you about her sister's hair appointment that went south, and this just a bunch of things that don't necessarily really matter to the trading aspect of things, as much as you might love your wife, it will throw your focus off, and there's a very high chance that all of a sudden that beautiful long that you were looking for, you either miss it entirely, you miss the sweet spot entirely because you got sidetracked, you had to look away from the screens, or it's possible that you get a little bit stressed out, even though it might be a positive stress having a wife there, but you get a little bit stressed out. You're starting to multitask too much. You're trying to maintain a conversation with her, as well as monitor what the RSI is doing, as well as monitor where that swing low just was, where that support was that you were looking at. And all of a sudden you miss a huge trigger. You miss something that is a big sign of, a failed support. Perhaps you were looking to take a long off of a strong support. She barges in the door, the wife I'm speaking of. So say the wife barges in the door, and you don't notice, because you were talking to her, that support you were looking to take a trade at has actually broken, and you turn back to your computer, you execute your trade thinking that the support has held this entire time, and that your logic for getting into the trade is still there, when in reality, maybe what happened while you were discussing things with your wife was the support actually broke, you're a bit below it, didn't realize it, and now you're into a situation where that slippery waterfall has begun and the market seems to be selling off hard because we just had that area of support you previously identified break. So number 2 on this subject today is we want to be comfortable informing our loved ones and friends. Like I said, it can be friends too. I kind of bashed our wives there a little bit too much, but it could be anybody. It could be the kids, it could be friends, it could be everyone, it could be your mother. It's important to explain to those that might interrupt you to respect your trading time, as that will ultimately help you in the long run. The more focus you can devote to one thing that you're doing, generally the more successful you're going to be at one thing. More headspace, devoted trading is a positive aspect. Excuse me there. But next, bringing on the third one. So we've talked about distractions that, external distractions such as the wife, such as the kids. We've talked about scheduling a trading time as well. How about some more solo external distractions, if you will? Some, really, we could call it an internal distraction, but it's a bit of a combination. So one of the easiest ways to get sidetracked trading isn't because of, might not be because of our loved ones, might not be because of our friends, and it might, and maybe a bad trading day didn't have anything to do with, trading a sporadic time frame, but it could be something as simple as getting sidetracked by our computers themselves or our phones. Technology these days, there's a million technological devices most people have in their houses, and obviously that's an exaggeration, but we have all kinds of things. We have phones, we have tablets, we've got laptops over here, we've got handheld things over there. There's just all kinds of things beeping and booping and going off all the time. Things such as social media as well can get in the way. But before we get into that road, which is entirely another thing, to avoid all of those technological gizmos throwing our attention away from the charts, which we don't need them to be doing, just like we ask our loved ones to respect our space, this one we need to have the responsibility enough, or the fortitude, we need to be responsible enough or have the fortitude to be able to turn these things. For example, maybe we turn our cell phone on airplane mode, or maybe we turn it on do not disturb mode at the very least, so it's not making any noises, it's not sending those notifications. Maybe we turn down some of those, or turn off, or get rid of some of those extra gadgets that we have, whatever they may be. Maybe we make sure that if we have a Roomba or a robotic vacuum cleaner or anything along those lines, maybe we make sure none of that is in our office as we're trading. Maybe we make sure none of that is anywhere around us, or at the very least set to even go off in that case while we're around us. This is all very, very important stuff. We have a million ways to be distracted. And as simple as it sounds, it's extremely difficult for us to find a way to shut some of these things out so we can truly focus. There's a very high chance that even here during this webinar right now, while we're discussing something very important, ask yourself, have you looked away from the screen, or have you looked at your phone since this webinar has started? The answer is probably yes. And that's as simple as most people say, oh, well, I'm not addicted to this or I'm not addicted to that. But the fact of the matter is, we spend a lot of times being distracted by things that we don't even realize are distractions. Another one of those distractions comes internally. It's the usage of things like social media. It's while we're on the computer, while we're using the computer to beneficially help us find information about what the markets are doing. Maybe there's a certain news site, an economic calendar that we like to visit. And then all of a sudden, we notice on our bookmark bar, we see that Facebook icon, and we click on that, or we see the YouTube, or we see whatever, and then we click on that, and then we go down the rabbit hole, and all of a sudden, here we are, where we were very, geared for a wonderful trading session, and before we know it, we're not even paying attention to what the market's doing because we're looking at Aunt Sally's new picture of her cat. It sounds silly, but this happens all the time. So one of the ways that we can counteract this, so we talked about, just the gadgets in general, counteracting them by either turning them on do not disturb or getting rid of them out of the office entirely during those predetermined times that we're talking about trading. Well, we can create a list. Maybe it's on a notepad on the computer or a mental list or what have you. Usually some type of physical list is going to be a little bit easier to hold us self-accountable to, but we can write down ahead of time the websites in which we are allowed to go to. Okay, now this sounds silly, but it does work. So what you can do is say, okay, write down a list of the websites that you plan on using while you're trading, all the websites that you feel are beneficial to your trading experience, to your productivity, to just to the progress of just making gains in the name of trading. If you write down a list of all the websites you need while trading, any website outside of that list, you are not allowed to visit. You can tell yourself this. I am not allowed to visit Facebook during the hours that I have preset from maybe 8 to 1 p.m., 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. If that's the trading time that I have devoted every day to trade, during 8 to 1 p.m., I cannot visit Facebook, okay? Or I cannot visit YouTube, all right? I cannot do this. I cannot do that. It's a very easy distraction where 1 minute looking at this or just quickly checking this turns into all of a sudden you're doing this, and now all of a sudden you're doing this, and before you know it, you have wasted an hour of time where you could have been hitting a home run long, or possibly avoiding making a mistake or making a decision that could have been avoided if you had been paying attention to the way the market was moving and hadn't been distracted. All right. So making a list of all the websites that you're allowed to visit during your trading time and not going outside of that list. Not going outside of that list. If you want to add a new website to that list, ask yourself, how is this website going to benefit my trading? If you can't intelligently answer how that website is going to benefit your trading without lying to yourself, chances are it doesn't belong on that list. Another easy way, this kind of ties into, or another distraction anyway I'd like to talk about, and this does kind of tie back into all of the technological gizmos and things that I was discussing. We want to only keep trading related material into our work area. And once again, I'm saying this as our work area, referencing when we're trading, because trading, we want to treat it as work. We want to take it seriously. We want to take it professionally. Yes, we want to have a good time while we're trading, but we need to understand that it is not a game. Okay? Anytime we're trading things where real money is at stake, or we're learning things where eventually real money will be at stake, this is very serious stuff. Okay? We want to take this as an adult. We want to be intelligent about it, and we don't want to keep outside distractions. The less the lower the less we keep distractions readily available to us, the less those distractions can distract us, is what I'm attempting to say there. So that means in our office, we don't want to have the Xbox sitting next to us, or a Nerf gun, or a good book. I mean, whatever it is, anything in the world, whatever it is that you mess around with in your life, anything that you use during your leisure time shouldn't be in your work time office space. Okay. Now, if you want to introduce these things to your office space outside of your predetermined trading hours, that's fine. But the idea is to never mix the two. If you're trading, there should be no distractions. End of story. I'm going to continue moving forward though. But so once again, we've talked about setting a predetermined time every day, or just a predetermined schedule, all right, where you're going to get to know the market and those pairs during that time or whatever it is in general that you're trading, you want to get to know it. You want to get as comfortable with it every single day at that time, because what happens is during the market at that time, if you get to realize, say every day you're looking at the market from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., you'll notice that a lot of the traders trading the market will be consistently, during that time, will be the same traders trading that market at that time. Yet again, a lot of traders stick to a schedule, especially on the on the bigger side of things, along with the market makers and everything else. A lot of these decisions and a lot of these trading moves and a lot of the things, the ebbs and flows of the market, can be a little bit more predictable because it has a personality, if you will, because it's the same people generally trading those markets at those times. So there is value in setting a predefined schedule and getting used to that predefined schedule and getting used to what those specific assets and pairs are doing during that time. So setting a predefined time to trade where you're going to always be trading at this time. And this means we don't want to be cutting it short. We want to be giving, even if we decide that we've hit, so say we decide that every day we're going to be trading between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. If we reach 9:30 and we've hit a take profit goal, or perhaps we got stopped out, we still want to sit there and act like we are trading, even if we're no longer going to be. We still want to watch the market in full anticipation of making trades, even if we are not going to, because that will allow us to still be witnessing the same time frame every single day, and we don't want to miss out on that information. We discussed making sure that our loved ones and friends don't disturb us while we're trading. They need to understand that you are working while you are trading. This is a very serious thing. We need to take it seriously. We've discussed, keeping those technological gizmos out of the way while we're trading. Anything that we don't need while we're trading shouldn't be there. We've discussed writing down a list of websites. Writing down a list of websites that we're allowed to visit while we're trading can be greatly beneficial, because it can avoid us from going down those rabbit hole scenarios where all of a sudden we're looking at this video on YouTube and now we're on Facebook looking at Aunt Martha's new infinity. We don't need to do this. We want to go ahead and leave this stuff alone. So how we do that, we write down a list of the websites we're allowed to visit. Any website outside of that list cannot be visited during those trading hours. Okay. Another thing that we can do, let's see where we want to go next. We've talked about the social media and whatnot. Another huge distraction can be more of the psychological nature. It is as simple as this one. Pay attention, folks. Another huge distraction is looking at other people's profits. One of the most crucial aspects that needs to be controlled in terms of distraction while trading is our emotions. Okay, this is going to be the core of everything here. This is going to be the core of everything going forward beyond this point anyway. So emotions are a massive factor in whether or not we are going to trade successfully or whether they're not going to trade successfully. And this can be thought of as if you're trading and you start getting frustrated, or you start doing this, that, and the other, and perhaps you were doing well, but all of a sudden you got yourself distracted, or your wife came in and started an argument with you, and now you're angry. This is all emotional stressors that can cause your trading to go from from good to bad very, very quickly, because all of a sudden you might not realize it. You might think that you're of a mental level that you can handle these things, but realistically there is no beneficial side effect, with only negative consequences possible from all of these emotional triggers. And looking at other people's profits. So say someone says, "Oh, look at me, I made $10,000 today." All right, and I did it in 5 minutes. All right. Looking at things like that can, initially on the surface you might say, "Oh, well, it's okay for me to look at something like that because it gives me a goal." But realistically, that's not actually what's happening. It's causing your emotions to go on a roller coaster. Okay, dangling something in front of you is going to make you more reactive than thoughtful, than planning, than try. It's going to make you try to feel like you need to measure up to this person, or you need to measure up to that person, and if you don't, it's going to cause you to tilt harder. You're going to get angry because you didn't reach it. You're going to feel like you let yourself down. All of these things are not beneficial. There's nothing about that is going to give you, there's nothing about paying attention to other people's profits that's going to help you increase your own, right? And it is exciting as it may be, okay? As exciting as it may be, Paying attention to other people's successes and other people's profit does not give you, in and of itself, your own. And it's important to understand that, okay? You want to pay attention on your own money making and your own trading plan. Your own money making and your own trading plan. What your neighbor is making does not matter. What your neighbor is making, unless your neighbor is paying you money based on what he's making, it doesn't matter. And chances are, obviously, he's not. So your account is what matters to you. No one else's. Doesn't make you any. If your neighbor makes $10 million, you're not a worse person than they are. And if your neighbor loses $10 million, you're not a better person than they are. Focus on your own account and focus on improving yourself. Use yourself as your own benchmark. Are you better today than you were yesterday? If the answer is yes, then you're doing good. If the answer is no, then the idea is to figure out how we can improve ourselves from this point going forward. And actively trying to improve ourselves, actively trying to control ourselves is all that matters. Everything else falls into place beyond that. So we don't want to be subjective to different pleasures of desire and things, and that's essentially what it comes down to. When we're listening to other people, the amount of money they've made and this, that, and the other, we're kind of living vicariously through them and finding it exciting that they made this much or lost this much. All of that stuff does not matter. The end goal in trading is for you to learn, to become better, and to make more. And that doesn't help you in any way, shape, or form. And just like the website list, if it's not helping you, get it out of the way. One less thing on your plate is one more plate that you can devote specifically to beneficial things. Okay? So looking at other people's profit or losses doesn't help you. Forget about it. All right? We've talked about that. We've talked about the social media. We've talked about the different things in general with the gadget, the gizmos. Another distraction, another very common distraction that people tend to overlook could be things such as like bad tools, okay? Bad tools. And what do I mean by that? A slow internet connection is a bad tool. Everything you use while you are trading to help you decide whether you're going to make or not make this trade is a tool. It's something you're using. It's to complete a task. It is a tool. So slow internet connections. This is a bad tool. If you have a slow internet connection, this could cause you to make a decision based on information that is delayed, or the decision you make could be delayed because of your slow internet connection. It doesn't reach the serve time, it doesn't reach the broker in time, and it triggers or fires off a little bit too late, and you miss a quick swing that you were trying to take advantage of, or this, that, and the other, and instead of getting the great price you were intending to get that could have already been gone because of the slow internet connection, you end up way somewhere else during a very volatile market. Okay, so things such as a slow internet connection or a computer that just doesn't work properly. It's maybe it's bogged down. It's an older computer, or maybe it's loaded with some adware or bloatware or just a bunch of stuff slowing it down. It takes you a really long time to open this, or it's freezing constantly. This is a huge problem. If you have an unstable, okay, think of it this way, folks. Would you trade during a thunderstorm? Okay, if you're prone to losing power. If the answer is no, well, then that's probably the right choice. If you have a battery backup, you have this, that, and the other, it's still not really all that intelligent to be trading during a thunderstorm, even if you have all the appropriate measures in place. If you can help it, avoiding instances where you might have an outage or you might have some technological, some tech default or difficulty, not default, it's probably a good idea to avoid it. Bad tools and bad decision-making process is not conducive to making money. And once again, if it's not conducive to making money, get rid of it. If it's not conducive to bettering our trading, we're getting rid of it. It's that simple. Okay, thunderstorm. Okay, we know our power goes out, that we probably shouldn't be trading. We don't want to accidentally open up a long position and the thunderstorm kicks our power off, and all of a sudden the market starts spiraling outwards and we can't get ourselves out of it. Not good. Okay, not good. We don't want to enter a position or try to be trading with a computer that is so slow that it's constantly freezing. Not good. We don't want to enter a position in a situation where internet is so slow that The position is multiple seconds delayed. Not good. We don't want that. We don't want that. Okay. So bad tools this could be something as simple as using a bad broker even. Okay. A broker is, once again, is just another tool that you're using to trade the markets. All right. So we want to use the best of the best. The best that we can use is the best that we want to be using. We don't want to cut corners while we're trading. There's nothing beneficial about us cutting corners while we're trading, and if there's nothing beneficial about it, we're throwing it out. Okay? So, looking like we're doing pretty good in terms of questions. I had a couple of questions that were asked, and we already actually covered those. So hopefully you got through there. If you feel that I didn't adequately answer your questions as we were going along kind of organically, you can ask it, or tell me to clarify this, that, or the other. But what's another way, folks? What's another way? How about another huge distraction, another huge problem with traders that can cause massive losses is things such as changing strategies too often. Now, what does that mean, changing strategies too often? That means, so say you're using just a simple moving average strategy. You've got a couple EMAs, and when the EMAs cross, you're looking to utilize with a little bit of price action. You're looking to go, maybe you're looking to go short every time the high EMA crosses over the low EMA, and vice versa. But this strategy has suited you fine. It's a strategy. Maybe it's a strategy that many people have found success with, and it is definitely possible. And you found success with it yourself. But as soon as you start doing poorly with it, you immediately bounce to a new one. And as soon as you don't get a win with that new one, you immediately bounce to a new one. And as soon as you do that, this is a problem. This is a problem. Once again, a lot of traders, a huge fault that traders have is giving up on a particular strategy that they may have been developing or using immediately and switching to something new instead of correcting the issues with what they were using. Every strategy out there is no perfect strategy, right? There's no strategy that causes zero losses. That's just not how it works, okay? It's not how it works. So we need to understand that losses are going to happen, and the more that we understand why they're happening, then we can begin correcting why they're happening and possibly avoiding them, and we can increase the accuracy with the strategy. So a lot of times there's more progress that can be made from picking any base point and then correcting it and constantly fine-tuning it and going forward from there. Every time we switch strategies, we're effectively setting ourselves back to ground zero, and all progress made moving forward is now lost. So switching strategies too often is not a great idea. Once again, not conducive and not common of a profitable trader. Another hard mental stressor and distraction that can be a very powerful distraction while we're trading can be something such as needing our trading profits to live. All right. If you're financially pressed to make a living day trading or whatever it is, you will find the thought of making money to be one of the biggest distractions eroding your process. The goal of every trader is to be process oriented and not outcome oriented. If your thoughts are on paying the rent or catching up on your bills or putting food on the table, you'll never be able to fully focus on the process of trading in and of itself, as your life is constantly getting in the way because that is the outcome. Okay, so we want to be focused on trading and trading alone while we are trading. We want to limit those outside distractions as much as humanly possible. If it's not helping us, get rid of it. It's a distraction. Anything that is not benefiting trading and if we can't justify why this or why that will help us during our trading or why it's going to increase our trading account size, it shouldn't be there. That's the easiest way that we can avoid any and all distractions. Just remember that, self. If it's not helping us when we're trading, it shouldn't be there. Okay. Let's see. So we've discussed quite a few things at this point. The vast majority of things. It's really what it comes down to, folks, is controlling our emotions and controlling the distractions by understanding and being intelligent enough and sentient enough beings, understanding that if it's not helping us in the trading world, we might as well consider it hurting us and get rid of it. Okay, that is what it all comes back down to. That is the summary. Okay, if you make a conscious effort to change these distractions, you're going to immediately see or very quickly see an increase in your trading equity, an increase in maybe your accuracy or your ROI or your return on your investment. You will see them. Give it a try. Let me know how it goes. Okay, remember, when we are trading, if it's not helping us, it's hurting us. Okay? If it's not helping us, it's hurting us. Get rid of it. All right? We want to be able to focus on what we are doing, which means we need to let our loved ones and our family know that they shouldn't be there. Okay, we talked about that. We talked about writing down a list of websites we're allowed to view while we're trading. So we avoid going to any other websites outside of something that is going to benefit our trading. That means no social media. It means we're not going on the Facebook. We're not going on the Instagram. We're not doing this. We're not doing that while we're trading, because those things aren't going to help our trading. All right. So if it's not on the list, all right, it's gone. All right. We've talked about that. We've talked about how looking at other people's profits can cause emotional triggers and unnecessary stresses and things that just will not help us. So we don't want to focus. We don't care what other people are making or not making. It doesn't matter. You are not other people. You are yourself. Focus on yourself and how you can better yourself. It's not up to other people to trade for you. It's not up to other people to do anything for you. Nobody owes you anything. Don't focus on their profits. Don't focus on what you have to do or you have to do there. Focus on yourself and how you can improve yourself from yesterday. It's that simple. Okay. We talked about what else did we have? We talked about setting a predefined time to trade every day, right? Okay, that's extremely important. Getting very comfortable and familiar with how the market moves during those times regularly each and every day. Okay, we talked about keeping all those technological gizmos out of the way. That's a given. Anything that is not benefiting our trading shouldn't be around us. Shouldn't be around us. Even if you can recognize that maybe you have a handheld blackjack game. Let's throw it back a little bit. Maybe you have a handheld blackjack game and you like that little game, and you recognize that you from time to time you can't help yourself. You like to pick it up and mess around with it. Okay, so if you recognize that it is a distraction, be intelligent enough that you can remove it before you start trading. Just get rid of all this stuff. Doesn't mean you have to throw it out. Doesn't mean put it in another room, right? Deal with it after your trading session has closed. We want to treat trading as work, right? Okay, so we want to keep the emotions in. We want to keep the emotions under control. We want to have the correct headspace. We want to not be interrupted by other people. We want to keep the distractions as few as absolutely possible. We want to make sure we're not using bad tools. We don't want to be using internet that's ideally, we really don't want to be trading on dial-up internet when cable's available, right? Okay, it's just not going to send our requests to the server nearly as quick as we want them to, and the server's not going to be sending our information to us as quick as we want, and we might be delayed. We don't need to be adding difficulty to trading. Trading is difficult enough as it is. It's not insurmountable. Trading is definitely beatable, but we don't want to make it harder to beat than we need to. There's no sense of bragging right saying, okay, I did this wrong and I still was able to pull out profitable. That doesn't make you a cool person. If you're aware that you have all these unnecessary distractions around, even if you're doing well, that doesn't make you a profitable trader. That makes you a stupid trader, because if you took all those things away, imagine what you could really do then. If you can be profitable with distractions around you, then you can be really profitable, most likely, without any of the distractions around you, right? So, the mental stressors of needing what we're trading to pay the bills, or we need our profits to pay the bills specifically, that can really damper and hinder our trading progress, as just due to the mental stress that adds to us, making it feel like, oh, if we don't do this or we don't do that, I need to make this much money in order to pay the bill, so I'm going to take this trade that I might not normally would have taken, so I'm getting a little bit looser here, a little bit more aggressive. That's not a good thing, okay? Changing strategies entirely too often, not a good thing, okay? Let's focus on figuring out a working system. Let's focus on correcting a working system or making a working system work better instead of switching every time we see some reason or some type of falter. There's going to be falters and mistakes in every system that exists. That's just the way the trading world works, okay? You need to understand that and understand that there's more progress to be made by picking any starting place and working forward than constantly resetting yourself back to the start line, okay? But other than that, folks, this has been a wonderful discussion. It's extremely important to talk about these distractions because a lot of times people don't give them enough thought. They don't realize that they actually do have all of these distractions. The next time you're trading, try to remember, try to ask yourself, or maybe you could even video yourself. See how often you deviate from the beaten path. See how often you look at your phone. Even if it's just a quick glance, how often do you look at your phone, or how often do you check Facebook or anything else while you're trading? You might be surprised that you're doing a lot more than you realize. And the problem with stuff like this is you don't realize what you're missing out on because you're missing out on it. So try giving yourself a completely solitude trading experience, and you might enjoy it and see a lot more gains than you've been experiencing lately. But other than that, folks, it has been a pleasure as always. This has been a discussion on trading distractions as well as how to manage them. My name is Chris. As you guys know, it's a pleasure. I love doing these webinars because you guys give me such great input, either before, after, during, what have you. I really do feel like a lot of you are grasping these concepts that I come across with or I'm sharing with you, and that gets me excited. But just guys, try to focus on the things that we learned here today. Try to implement them. Try to give it everything that you've got to better yourself, and you will inevitably better yourself. Don't overstress things. Keep it calm. Keep it cool. Keep collected, guys. Remember, everything is just a stepping stone. Slow it down, one step at a time. Even if it seems simple, sometimes it is simple, and we just need to let that happen instead of overcomplicating things. But other than that, guys, I hope everybody has a wonderful trading week this week, and you guys keep killing the markets. I've been seeing some awesome stuff from you guys. But in the meantime, I will see you back here probably later today, obviously, when I do my daily market recap. We talk about what's going on in the markets today, here and now, and hopefully where we might see some action tomorrow. But thank you for joining me once again, everybody. This has been Trading Distractions and How to Manage Them. I will see you soon. Cheers, everyone. Over and out.